Hey, what's up everyone? It's Griffin here, and I hope you're all having a great day as always. So today's video is really exciting and completely different, seriously, than the typical type of video I release on the channel, because over the next couple of days, I'm actually going to be traveling to Montreal to go and meet the team over at Addy. If you're not familiar with Addy, you can basically think of it as like a crowdfunding real estate platform, where basically Addy is going to acquire certain properties and then issue out shares, $1 shares on their platform to all of the Addy members, where as an investor, you can actually pick up these $1 shares in each of the individual properties up to a maximum of $1,500 per property. So I've been speaking about Addy since 2021. I personally invest on the platform myself, and seriously, I just think it's a great way for the average investor across Canada to get exposure to individual pieces of commercial real estate, which is extremely difficult to do on your own right now, purchasing your own property. And it also allows you to just have multiple different properties or exposure to each one of these properties across different provinces in your own portfolio without really doing anything on your part. So really exciting video. I got the chance to go over to Montreal again, speak with the general partners, so the actual contractor who's taking care of renovating the boutique hotel on Sherbrooke Street that dropped on their platform a couple of months back. That property actually already sold out to investors, but they had a new property, another boutique hotel a couple of streets down, that's going to be releasing on their platform on Tuesday, April 5th at 12 EST. So really exciting. We're going to get to see a walkthrough of that property, so that really, like, as an investor myself, photos on their platform are great and all, but actually having the chance to see it in person and take video footage of it was really eye-opening as to how their renovation projects actually come to life and what that represents for an Addy investor. So before we jump into a travel montage going over to Montreal, let's take a couple seconds here to actually speak about the Addy platform, because of course some viewers might be hearing about Addy for the first time. So one of the first things that I really found interesting as a user when I first heard about Addy back in 2021 was the fact that instead of charging the investor a management fee on the funds that you have invested in their platform, Addy has a completely different model where they're just going to charge you $25 for a yearly plan essentially, and then from there, as the investor, you get access to their platform and you can invest in any number of the properties that end up coming onto their platform. Right now they have usually a property bi-weekly that comes onto the platform, and as a user though, you can pick and choose which investments are right for you, and you can skip multiple if you want, right? So with your $25 yearly plan, you can invest in one or pretty much every property that comes up on their platform. It's completely up to you. Now, as an Addy user and investor, you can access their platform on desktop, but I always end up accessing it on mobile, even though right now it's just on browser. They were telling me though that they're working on an application that's going to be releasing soon, so that's super exciting. But let's take a look at what the mobile version looks like. So jumping into my platform, or my dashboard, I guess we could say here, we can see up top there's a total portfolio investment value at $2,321. So this is the amount of money that's actually invested into specific properties. And we can see scrolling down that there's a wallet balance of $25. So that's money that would actually be available for me to invest in an upcoming property. And you can see that I've been a member since September, or October, I should say, 26, 2021. And the reason why it says so over here is because this is actually my girlfriend's account. Back a couple months back, you weren't able as a Quebec resident to invest on Addy. Now they've completely changed that. So as an actual Quebec resident, you can also now make an account and invest through Addy, which is super exciting. I just haven't taken the time yet to go and make my own account. Now, if we go on to portfolio though, this is where we're going to be able to see again my total investments and then the investment properties that I'm actually invested in. So we can see I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm invested in 5 properties at net investments of 700, 300, 500, etc. And actually the one right here, 874 Sherbrooke, that's one of the properties that we're going to get to go and see on the ground, which is really exciting. As an actual investor myself, I'd like to see, what does that actually look like? How are the renovations coming along, and so forth. And then finally up top we have total distribution. So depending on the investment in question, there's 4 main types of properties that Addy is going to be targeting. So they have core, value add, core plus, and opportunistic. And depending on each one of these, some are going to be distributing dividends essentially, like dividend distributions. You can think of this as like cash flow essentially on your individual Addy investment. So I haven't received any distributions yet, but once I do, they are going to appear right there. Now, what's also interesting here is that before making an investment in a property, they have a full on page dedicated to the upcoming property, going over potential returns on investment, as well as a whole bunch of other information about each and every property, so that as an investor, you can get a bit more sense of what the investment represents itself. Now, once you've actually made an investment though in a property and it's in your portfolio, your addy portfolio, you can click on that property and it's going to show you a bit more information about your investment. So in this case, the Sherbrooke property, which is a boutique hotel that we're going to get the chance to go and see in Montreal in today's video, I invested $771, and the estimated return on investment for that is just under 39%. So there's a graph underneath for the future value. This actual property has a 2-year term. So it's showing us that, an opportunistic amount that I would be making on that investment would be around $330 versus a realistic amount around $300 on that 771 investment. So really fantastic, and again, just offers diversity, right? Like, when would I be investing in a boutique hotel? I personally invest in small multifamily real estate. That's really my bread and butter, and in one geographic area. So having access to properties across Canada, I think, is just really interesting. So yeah, that pretty much covers the brief addy platform overview that I wanted to do to give a bit more context for anyone who might be wondering before we head on over to Montreal. So by the way, if you want to actually open up an addy account yourself to have access to the upcoming property, that's a boutique hotel again in Montreal on Tuesday the 5th of April, you can use my link down below in the description and get $25. So essentially that's covering your first full year of membership on addy, and all your investments from there are pretty much free of charge, basically. So let's now jump in the car, head on over to Montreal, and again, we're going to get the chance to walk 2 properties, 2 addies, and then also speak with the general partner that's taking charge of both of those renovation projects. So when we first arrived, we got the chance to walk around the Sherbrooke property, which once again is the first boutique hotel that was launched on the platform around a month and a half ago. Now we can see the outside of the property right here. This is a heritage building. Pretty sure it was built in the 1800s, and now it's being fully revamped. So walking into the property, you'll see it is in full-on construction mode, but obviously this is going to be fully renovated so that every single unit is up to modern standard. This is also one of the properties that's going to be what's known as a smart hotel, so essentially eliminating the need for any type of staff on site or a concierge. This is going to not only help with the return on investment, but also make it a lot easier to manage the property in question. Now, when we moved up to the second floor, we can see that once again, everything is being fully renovated, and we can see right here, this is what's known as the addy suite. So basically, the largest suite that's on site at the Sherbrooke property is going to be available for addy members to rent with certain perks and features, which is really cool. I thought that was an absolutely great idea in order to incentivize people to invest in the property, right? Now, it is actually one of the units that was mostly renovated. The bathroom itself, though, needed to be fully gutted and brought up to modern standard. We're actually entering the basement now of the boutique hotel. I think they're going to be adding some units. So what's really cool about addy is that literally, again, you invest into a property and you have full-on general partners who are doing all the renovations and are taking care of the entirety of the project management. So let's go take a look.
No, 5.
5 units. Gotcha. Wow.
All right, so we just made it over to 2048 Saint Denis Street. This is the second boutique hotel, and we're going to be doing a walkthrough of this property. It's also going to be going through major renovations. Right now, nothing's really started, but this is the property that's actually going to be dropping on addy Tuesday. So if you're interested, make sure to check out the link down below so you can sign up ahead of time and get your investment in this property. As you can see right here, though, this is actually a front desk that's going to be fully eliminated because this property is going fully smart, essentially. There's not going to be any staff or anything. It's all going to be through an app, which is really a new way of doing boutique hotels. That's really interesting. So let's go and take a look at the whole property. So here's what this new boutique hotel looks like from the outside. You can see it's wedged between a couple other buildings, and this is actually located on a really busy street with a lot of restaurants. Now, going inside, you can see that this is the first part of the hotel itself that was built in the 1800s, and we'll see later on in the video that they actually built an addition to the back with multiple more units.
So this is the space that was built about 15 years ago. As you can see, it's just a long corridor. Each floor has about 4 or 5 suites on it. This is the 3rd floor. We're going down to the 1st. You can see in the hallways we've actually already begun installing our cabling and networking requirements. This cable here is going to be covered up with a piece of crown molding, but it's actually what will communicate with our Salto locks that we install onto our doors. So all of our locks are live and it's connected to an online system that we can control remotely. There will also be security cameras installed at each one of these locations here so we can remotely monitor and make sure this place is operating safely. This is suite 103. As you can see, it's a little bit dated. Some of the finishes, they're a little bit older, an old style Murphy bed, an old desk. The kitchen behind you, again, it needs updating. The bathroom itself, it has blue tiles on the floor with lots of little grout lines, very difficult to clean. This is a renovation that we love because it's actually quite simple. We're not tearing down walls, we're not reconfiguring. We don't need architects, engineers. It's really just strip out the old, unattractive stuff, reimagine the space, and make it more useful.
All right, so we're here now actually with David, who's the GP or general partner of the 2 addies that we just took a look at. So I wanted to ask you, what really is the role of the GP in the process of acquiring addies and everything that has to do with that?
So the general partner is the team that goes out and finds great real estate deals and acquires them. So when we partner with Addy, they're coming on as a limited unit holder or limited partner unit holder. We're actually taking on all the work, taking on all the risk, finding the properties, creating a strategy to create value, and managing the property, managing the operations.
Okay, so you're actually finding the deal beforehand and then potentially contacting Addy if it's a good fit or something?
That's right. So we acquire all kinds of deals. The hotels that we've acquired, we thought was great for Addy because there's such a large community of people who may want to stay there. But when we buy our deals, we close on them and we bring them to Addy afterwards.
Okay, yeah, that's really cool. So the hotels, let's speak a bit more about this. We saw earlier on in the video that these hotels are actually going to be converted into what's known as like a smart hotel. There's not going to be any concierge or anything like that. I wanted to know from a financing standpoint, for the benefit of an Addy member, how does that benefit an Addy member having a regular hotel versus...
So one of the benefits of using a smart hotel using an extended stay model is that we install kitchens in every one of our units. So when a bank and a lending partner walks through our properties, they're always mitigating their own risk, what happens in a worst case scenario. So when we have suites and units that have kitchens, they look at that and say, we know this can operate as a hotel, but worst case scenario, we can rent this out to residents using a residential tenancy and get a more traditional stabilized income source. So for our lenders, it's much better terms than a traditional hotel because the asset itself looks and feels like multifamily.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So essentially, worst case scenario, if the hotel, which hopefully it is going to work out, but if the hotel doesn't work out, you can actually rent those out longer term.
Yeah, like we don't like risk ourselves. And so we don't want to be necessarily in the business of hotels. We do like this asset because, like I said, it looks and feels like multifamily. If there's some sort of disruption to tourism, like a pandemic or some sort of terrorist attack, we ourselves are going to pivot and rent these out month to month to longer term tenants. And then we'll ride out that storm. Once tourism allows, we're going to convert back to a hotel and get some serious cash flow, which is something that's very hard to find in Canada's real estate market in general these days.
Yeah, definitely. So the actual property we just looked at, Saint Denis, the new addy that's going to be launching this week, how is that property going to be, like how many units are in it? How is it going to be renovated? What's the goal for that property in question?
Yeah, so the addy located at 2048 and 2050 Saint Denis in Montreal currently has 24 rooms with 1 commercial suite. The spaces, the hotel rooms themselves, we're going to update the kitchens and the bathrooms and create a nicer living space. One of the ways that we add value is to add amenities. So adding air conditioning, better kitchens, dishwashers, access to laundry. This is stuff that people will actually pay more money for and increases the value of the real estate. When it's completed, we're going to convert that lobby space that you saw at the front. Lobbies are no longer really necessary in a hotel. We don't have front check-in staff. Even in a COVID environment, people don't want to be commingling with one another. So rather than having a space that was previously used as a food buffet, we're going to convert that into 2 extra units, which adds overnight value to this deal to begin with.
Yeah, that's awesome. Last question for you. This addy, what's the term for the addy? Like how long are the renovations going to take? What can someone who does want to invest in this property, what can they expect from this project?
So this is a 2-year deal. The one thing that we love about hotels is that we don't have the Residential Tenancies Act to contend with. We can actually close the business down right away and begin renovating. It's not a business where we go in and we're evicting people. We don't have any of those issues because it's not a residential tenancy. We forecast 2 years because we know construction can take longer. We know it takes a long time to get permits and drawings and labor involved. But in reality, we can begin work very quickly on this addy, and hopefully we'll be finished within 1 year, which would really be a big bonus. But we're not making any promises. We're saying it's a 2-year deal.
Awesome. Thanks a lot for answering those questions. Yeah. All right, and just like that, I'm back from the past couple of days in Montreal. It was seriously fantastic to actually get to see the property that I'm personally invested in getting renovated firsthand, right? Actually getting to see what the behind the scenes of an addy looks like, I think was really insightful, and hopefully everyone watching also found the same thing. So if you actually also want to invest in the upcoming addy drop that's going to be dropping on Tuesday, the 5th of April at noon EST, make sure to check out my link down below in the description. You can get $25 for free, and also that's going to cover your full yearly membership where you can invest in any upcoming addy as well. So the team was telling me there's a bunch of exciting properties coming up over the course of next year. Definitely make sure to check it out. Let me know down in the comments if you like this type of video that where I'm actually out of my office in the real world and filming different types of content. I'd love to know. Let me know down in the comments, and of course if you enjoyed the video, make sure to drop a like. It really helps my channel out and tells me what type of upcoming content you'd like to see more of. Last but not least, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit the bell button for new and upcoming real estate content and personal finance in general. With that said, thanks a lot for watching today's video, and I'll see you in the next one.